party people, hello, it is Randy for Thunderhorse Descendant. I'm here today with project number four from Bargain Bead Box. I'm in a mood. In case you're wondering, we're doing a little nighttime beading today because it is Saturday and I'm getting ready to leave on my trip and we got to do some nighttime beading. So I'm in a mood. I've had a lot of coffee. It's all the things and all the stuff. So here we are. Anyways, here is our little design for project 4. This is a memory wire wrap bracelet. We are going to be utilizing our beads and our card. This is our card inspo. Okay, so let's jump down to the mat, get this party started. All right, party people, so here we are. Again, if you have not been following along with the mini series, we had to transfer in our designs because my book wasn't ready, so I had painting to do, so I've transferred in my designs. Again, I will be linking in the description of this video the plan video where we talked about the cards and the meanings and the designs and how we're incorporating the beads from Bargain Bead Box Sunken Treasure with these cards. Now, this is not something that I normally do in all of my Bargain Bead Box videos. It's just something that we did because I was late getting my box up anyways, my videos, because I had a craft show and I was out of state. So I thought, well, why not make it a little bit more fun? So here we are with all of our fun. All right. We're just going to do memory wire wrap. We've got a fluorite, which I've added from my stash. We're going to do lava rocks on the bottom and green on the top with protection metal or shield metal throughout, but more on the top. If you watched the design video, you know. If you know, you know. You know? There's a notebook over here that's not supposed to be here. And it makes my bead thing book not fit. Okay. So here we are on the mat. Let's get our beads out. This is going to be a super easy project. If you've never made memory wire wrap before, I've got that for us. And I'll just tell you some of my things that I like to do. Everybody does memory wire wrap a little bit differently, you know, as we do most things. So I'm just going to give you how I like to do it, and you do with that information what you will. Get these ready. So all of these beads are from Sunken Treasure, Bargain Bead Box. I did add this fluorite pendant. My camera will focus. There we go. Okay. So that's just going to be the charm at the bottom. Easy peasy. This guy. Oh, and he went flying. There we go. All right. So then we got our metal. And then we have our lava stones. So perfect. Okay, so here's the beads we're going to be using. Now, first and foremost, I think these beads are going perfect with that card we drew, which is just so surreal. The colors and the colorways of the cards we drew, it was pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so we're not going to worry about this at all. This is just going to go on the end of the wire as a charm, lottie-dottie. We don't have to worry about that. If you don't have a fluorite, you don't have to worry about that. You could just put whatever you want down there, maybe a bead, a charm of some sorts, whatever you got going on. Okay, so this is the memory wire that I like to use. Now, I ordered this specifically from Bargain Bead Box. This is the Grand memory wire. Okay, so this is artistic wire. If you're, maybe you're not familiar with memory wire at all, but basically memory wire keeps its shape So this is 0.036 large, and it's 8 ounces. They on the Dylusions website, they call this the grand memory wire because they have a large and a different one. They have ovals and all kinds of different things. So just in case you're wondering where I get it. Now, everybody always asks me where I get it. This is the one that I like to use. Now, the reason I like to use this is because I do use heavier stones. These are not very heavy. If you had a regular, you'll be fine. But I do use heavier stones and things when I am making memory wire bracelets, which is why I like to have this one. Now, another reason I like to have this one is because the actual diameter of the memory wire is larger. So when you go to put it on, backwards, okay, when you go to put it on, it's actually going to give you some length. And since I sell at a lot of craft shows and stuff, because I have a very small wrist, my wrist is 6 1/4. This is going to go all the way up to here on me, but that means that a person who has maybe like an average 7 is going to be able to wear this a little more comfortably. Anything above a 7, a little more comfortable, because some of the smaller wires, it's like they go on, but then they're so tight, you know, and sometimes people don't care for that. So that's why I use this wire. Okay, so there's that. Now, looks like a big old slinky. Now, when making a memory wire bracelet, what I do is I get the little slinky out. Cover that up so it's not being funny. I get the little slinky out, and right here at the end, where this is the end, I don't count this half a link. Okay, I start counting here where it lines up, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then here is normally where I would cut in line with the other one. Now this is completely up to you. That's generally how I've always done it. I don't know why. You could do more. You could count, you know, 1, 2, 3, you could do 4, cut this one, however you want to do it. One thing to note is that if you cut these even, this one and this one, if you cut them evenly, when you put it on, if you have a bigger wrist, they're going to stretch out like this. So they might not line up evenly. And if you're doing a pattern, that could be, if you wanted the pattern to lay a certain way, that's just something to keep in mind for mechanics. However, I'm just going to do this how I always do it. I find it to be quite helpful also when I'm selling, because then all of my bracelets are the same size. They have the 3 loops, but if you wanted to do more for a certain thing, you absolutely could. I'm going to do this. So I'm going to go, I'm not going to count this half. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to cut here. Now to cut this, I'm going to use my X-Ron cutter. This is a double bladed cutter. It's actually for cutting silver, and it cuts flush on both sides so you don't waste any wire. But also, memory wire is very strong wire. It's artistic wire, but it's very strong wire. And if you use a flush cutter, it's going to jack up your flush cutter. It's going to be done. First of all, it probably won't even cut it. And if you use like your junky cutter, you can get away with that. It is very hard to cut. So I use this X-Ron cutter. This X-Ron cutter, I did get it in Taylor's Falls Bead Store. It was $40-something. I mean, it's expensive, but look at this butter cut, right? Bam. Easy peasy. Ain't nobody got time to be fighting with memory wire, okay? We got things to do. Okay, so that's what I know about memory wire. Okay, now you can do this however you see fit. Some people, there are findings, let me just zoom in a little more. There are findings that you can use at the end of your memory wire. Okay, so now we have our smidge we're going to use. And it's like a little ball that you glue on. It's a half drill, and it's got a little ball you can glue on there. You do what you want. How I do it is I just make a loop on the end. Now, you can do that with your regular round nose. You can do it with, they have specific memory wire looper deals. I think I'm just going to use my regular round nose in case somebody doesn't have those tools. Okay, and so how I do it is I'm going to take this and I'm going to figure out how big I want my loop to be. Maybe I want it to be kind of larger, not too much. So I'm going to go almost in the middle, and I'm going to roll away from me. Okay, so I'm going to roll this way, roll away from me, and it's going to be hard. Okay, and you're going to get halfway there. You're going to get a little hook. You got to keep going until it touches itself. I go a little past the wire itself. I go a little bit past, and then once it's there, what I do is you can kind of click it in, and it'll click into where it needs to go. You might have to give it a little bend, but for the most part, that's it. Then you have a perfect ring. Okay, easy peasy, nothing's getting through this sucker. This ain't coming undone. Everybody's fine. It's not poking anybody. It's not going to be an issue. You can hang your stuff on there with a jump ring. Easy peasy. Okay, that's it. So this is also very good projects if you have, like, if you're new to beading, or if you have maybe like grandkids or kids that want to start doing some beading or stuff. These are really fun to do. Okay, now, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with lava rocks on the bottom. Lava rocks. And I'm just going to start putting these on, literally just one at a time. Lava rocks. Now, you can do patterns and whatnot, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to go like this because there's kind of a reasoning behind all of this. We kind of talked about how we're soaking up all this information kind of as children, and we're moving forward, developing into transformation and all those things. And I thought this was very fitting that these lava rocks were porous, and they will hold you know, essential oils and perfumes and stuff. And so that was a perfect analogy for what we were talking about when we made this design. And we talked about how that all goes down. So there you go. I'm putting a couple of green down here, just like kind of we're developing as people. We are doing a little bit of metal at the bottom, but for the most part, I'm just putting these on. There's no rhyme or reason to how I'm putting these on. I'm going to, as I move forward, transfer into more green and more metal at the top. Now, it is important to note that these metal are heavier, and so it could offset the weight of your bracelet. So you are going to want to either, you know, something to keep in mind for mechanics is that if you put all the metal at the top, it is going to offset the weight a little bit. But this grand memory wire is not really going to be affected. Another reason that I really like it a lot is because of that. So I'm just going to keep putting these on. Now, as I'm putting them on, I am not worried about pushing them down to the end. As I put on beads, they're going to go down to the end by themselves. Okay, so not worried about it. It's fine. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw this into fast forward, and I'll meet you back up at the top for the finishing. Easy peasy. You want to push them down, you just go like that. Okay, here we go. Okay guys, here we are up at the top. This is what I got. I like it. I didn't use all the beads. I could have if I would have done a little more wire, but that's fine. Most of the lava rocks are here at the bottom and then coming up into green. There we go. So now to finish it. So I'm going to tell you how I finish it. So what I do is I put on a metal bead or stone bead at the end, just because, I don't know, I feel like it's safer than a glass. Quite honestly, I think I could get away with a couple more beads here. Okay. So I do want to leave a little bit of space because I have to make this loop, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around so that I can roll it away from me, right? I'm going to go back here and I'm going to get my round nose, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll and create this loop. So there should be no wire on the outside here. Now, if you're like, well, that's a lot of wire, when you roll it, you're going to see that it's going to take up a little bit of wire, but also you don't want your beads to be super tight on there, especially since some of them are glass. If it has a little bit of room, that's fine. You don't have to worry about that. They're gonna be fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here to the middle. Okay, and I'm gonna roll and roll some more all the way past, just like we did before. And then I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna bend it down. Okay, so there we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, now I have this, it's not going to come apart. This is the bottom. Now the bottom is where I want to put my charm, right? So, I mean, you can put your charm wherever you want to. It doesn't quite matter. But I just think that it'd be better on the bottom here. So, I'm going to use this jump ring. And I'm just going to connect it to the bottom. I'm actually going to use two just because safety. So I got one on there. I'm going to use two. I don't have a larger gold oval jump ring down here, otherwise I would have used that, but this will be fine. So I'm using two. I'm just hooking in literally into that loop that we created. No big deal, that's not going anywhere. Somebody's really gonna have to try to get that to go somewhere. So there we go. All right, and so there is our bracelet completed. Had a few beads left, could make a few earrings or even a few more charms if you wanted to put a couple little charms up here. It's up to you. So this is what it ends up looking like. Pretty good. So now when I go to put this on, okay, I'm just gonna pull it out, wrap it around, wrap it around, wrap it around, and there we go. Let me zoom out for you. That's the wrong way. It always is. So like I said, my wrist is pretty small, but this is what I'm talking about. Once you get your beads onto your wire, the beads are going to take up a little bit of space as well in the girth of the bracelet. Dependent on, you know, what size beads you're using. The beads we used were probably 6s to 8s, 6s, 4, 5, 6, 8. So not that large, but if you had larger beads, those are going to take up girth as well when you put it on. So there she is. So I get a little bit of like a bangle effect because I have this little wrist. But quite honestly, that's fine with me. I don't really mind it too much. I like this pendant at the bottom because then no matter which way I'm going to flop my wrist around, you're still going to see the pendant, you know, whatever. The thing is if you try to put something too big here, you could get, and you're not using a grand memory wire, you're going to get this where it's going to like hang off because the weight is just not dispersed correctly. So that's another thing about the grand memory wire that I really like, is that it, because it is so tough, it's going to hold on to those things, so you don't have that kind of flopping out like this. You know what I mean? So there we go. Let's take a look at the design. I also feel like I've said before, this would comfortably fit a larger wrist, even at like up to like a 7 or perhaps even an 8. It would be tighter, obviously, on a 7 and an 8. But because this is going to move, you can just back it up to make it larger, but it will be tight. On a smaller wrist, you're going to get like a bangle effect, like me. So, nope. Here we are. There we go. The design versus the realdeal.com. I think that it turned out exactly as I thought it would. I like all the lava rocks on the end. Very cute. Now, as we've discussed about these particular lava rocks, the white ones did not have, it's not focusing. The white ones did not have electroplating on them. The white ones that we used in the first project. These ones have an electroplate or something going on, which means that if you wanted them to be more porous to hold essential oils and things, you're going to want to wash these, wash them out with a little scrubby brush and try some Dawn dish soap to get some of that wax out of there. Just an FYI on that. I wanted to grab up my bracelet sizer here. So this is at rest. This is giving probably like a 7.5 at rest, right in the middle. And then as your wrist gets bigger, this part just moves over and it moves the whole ring, in case you're not familiar with this scenario. And you can get, you know, the biggest, as big wrist as you need to have. The only thing about that is, as these ends, as we discussed when we cut them, as you will remember, I cut them even, like here. As you stretch out, they're gonna back up, so you're gonna get less rings in the middle. So this side's gonna have 4, and this side's gonna have 3. So if you wanted a larger, you knew you're gonna make a larger, you might want to do 4 to 5 loops, so you can have, you know, the amount of loops that you need for a larger wrist. But regardless, it's a total win. Gotta love that grand memory wire. So just to say again, I get this on Beadalon. It's called the Grand Memory Wire. I said at the beginning of the video, it's 0.36 large bracelet, 8-ounce memory wire, artistic wire. This is a bulk pack, and I don't want to swear to this, but I want to say these are like $58. So it's a little spendy, but totally worth it in my opinion. I would rather have, it's basically the only one I use. I would rather have this one than one that's going to flop out or not hold the beads that I want or not be big enough or whatever, you know. So here we are. Anyways, I hope you're all enjoying these videos. If you are, please make sure to do a like, a comment. Let me know down in the comments if this is how you do your bracelets. Do you do them differently? Do you have any hacks to share with us? Are you still into wearing memory wire wrap bracelets? Quite honestly, I like them. Sometimes I even like them without a little dangly bit. I used to always put danglies, but sometimes I like them without, because then it's just kind of like a bangle. It shows off the beads really well. I just think it's all in all, it's good times. And it's easy to make. Can't beat that, right? All right, y'all. I hope you have a lovely, spectacular, amazing evening. I'm going to get you some pictures and get this video out to you. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.